I'm here with my friend Darrell Moon, and we're here to review his book, Make Healthcare Work for You. Darrell, let's get to know you first.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my background is I ran hospitals for a number of years and got to the point where I felt like I was working against the customer instead of working for the customer. What I mean by that is that employers purchase healthcare for their employees to attract and retain top talent. And then from that point on, there's such a big distance between the employer who pays for it and the customer who gets it that I felt like as a hospital administrator, I got away with just working against my customer. And after working in 10 different hospitals, I thought to myself, I can't dedicate my career to an industry that doesn't connect with the customer, that's not working for the customer.
Right.
So it was really that background that kind of prompted me to start exploring how do we create healthcare that works for the employer? And that's what the book's about.
Okay, when you got ready to write this book, how did you set out to conquer this huge problem? I mean, healthcare in America is...
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Well, my goal in life was to be a hospital administrator. So from the very beginning, I started, studying what it's like to run the business of a hospital and how to run the business of healthcare. And after running hospitals, I became very familiar with all of what we call misaligned incentives in healthcare. And when I left the treatment side and went over to the prevention side and tried to figure out what the customer wants is a healthy population and employees who feel like they have really good healthcare. That's what the customer wants. And so I became a student of just this whole industry and started learning about what the role of the insurance company is and what's the role of the broker and what role does HR play in this whole thing. And as I was studying all these different roles and doing different things and producing different products and services, I just felt like this is crazy. There's so many misaligned incentives from the way pharmacy works to the way that hospitals work to the way insurance companies work. And so I knew at some point I would love to write a book. But it wasn't until about 3 years ago when I discovered probably the greatest discovery of my career, which is the best healthcare system in the world. And I saw how it worked and I went, okay, I have a simple message. Business leaders, healthcare is not working for you. Here's an example of how it does work for the customer. All you have to do now is simply say, that's what I expect, and just start holding this industry accountable.
And I noticed that the book is written for a CEO and not for the HR department. So that's a little different than how most people have come about, trying to get healthcare to change. Why did you choose the CEO?
The problem starts with the CEO. If you think about it, every business leader I talk to says, I want the same thing. I'm buying healthcare to attract and retain top talent. Number one reason. Besides that, I want a healthy, productive workforce because my clients are happier and my employees are happier when there's a good healthcare system and they're healthy.
Right.
I want them to feel like I'm giving them the best quality healthcare they can get because that's important to them. And then last of all, but not least, I don't want it to cost so much.
Right.
And so I've never found a group of CEOs that didn't tell me that that's what they wanted. But then I asked them the question, do you ever measure to see if you're getting that? I said, do you ever incentivize anybody? Like you'll give your CFO bonuses based on how much profitability you get. Right. You'll give your salespeople bonuses for the amount of revenue they bring in. But have you ever created an alignment of incentives for your HR or benefits department to give you what you want, which is those 4 things? They look at me and go, no, never have. And I think to myself, that's where the problem starts. Because if an HR person, if their job is to just make everybody happy, and the best way to make everybody happy is you hire one of these big brokerages because the big brokerages are obviously the ones who know the most, then you're going to be okay. Nobody's going to take your job away. It's like you're safe. Just keep everybody happy and work with a big broker. Well, so there's where the misalignment of incentive starts. Well, then you take a look at where the brokers get paid. Well, the brokers aren't working to help the employer get those 4 things. They're never tied. Their incentives are never built around whether I created a benefit that better attracted and retained employees. Right. Their incentives are not built around whether the employees are healthier. Their incentives are around, did I sell more premiums? Because the more premiums I sell, the more money I get to make. In fact, as healthcare costs go up, I get to make more money. Right. One of the comments in the broker industry is trend is our friend. So from the and then you go into the insurance companies and they're misaligned because they only get to make more money as healthcare costs go up. And of course, the whole healthcare system, the more people get sick, the more services they need, the more money. It's like everybody in the system is misaligned with the customer. And it's never going to be HR that fixes it. It's never going to be brokers that fix it. It's never going to be insurance that fixes it. It's never going to be, it's got to be the buyer. The buyer has to say, this is what I want. I'm spending my money. This is what I want to get. I'm going to measure whether I'm getting it. And I'm going to start incentivizing and aligning the system to start giving me what I want.
That seems so simple, yet.
I know.
Yet it also seems complicated. From their standpoint, how do you conquer this while still running your company while not, because it sounds like you have to go outside the fray, outside the line and try to find something for your employees and then explain it to them and then set it up and make sure HR's happy. I know the book covers some of this, so maybe pick, like, how does a CEO even start to consider any of this?
It has to be simple.
Yeah.
CEOs are not built to go create a new healthcare system. It's not their job, it's not and they'll never do it.
Right.
So we don't need CEOs to go create the new system.
Got it.
When I discovered this amazing healthcare system called the NUCA system of care, which is the best system in the world, and I simply looked at the foundation and the simple principles behind it, it's like, oh, CEOs just need to do what they do with every other part of their business. Set their goals, hold people accountable, and now that they're holding people accountable, those who are being held accountable will go find the simple steps. And it is simple steps to implement a NUCA type, or what NUCA calls an aspirational. In fact, the book is called How Do Employers Set Up Healthcare Benefits So That They're Aspirational in Nature. So it really isn't very hard for the CEO. It's not like you're asking CEOs to go figure something out. All we're asking CEOs to do is hold people accountable. Just automatically move people into a more aspirational model, and people will get a better benefit that'll cost a whole lot less for the employers, and everybody will be happier.